I think we need to kind of step back a little bit on this question and talk about the energy that's present during channeling, right? The energy is, when I'm channeling, is quite powerful, the way that I feel it. It's almost like a charge that lifts me up and holds me, right? And I don't always experience this charge. I don't always experience this feeling. But when I turn my attention to it, it's like, okay, we're going to have a session now. Let's get prepared for this. And so I go through this process of raising my vibration, as I call it. And really what the process is deep breaths, right? Deep cleansing breaths. You pull the air in through your mouth and you breathe it out through your nose. And you do this several times. And I would suspect that my experience is the same as most people, where when you do this, it kind of shifts your perspective or your state. It kind of alters your state a little bit. Some might say, well, you're just getting lightheaded. But the truth is that it actually helps me to focus inwardly much better after I've done this breathing. And then I close my eyes. You'll see that my eyes are always closed, or almost always closed. And it's not because I'm blind. I read about this somewhere else. It's because having my eyes closed helps me to focus internally, right? To have my eyes open is by default an external focus, right? So I close my eyes. Typically the room that I'm in is quiet. I can essentially turn off all my other senses to the degree that I am as focused internally as I can be. And then I just talk with Jonathan, right? I say, Jonathan, are you there? And he says, yes. And then we go through the ritual that we go through that we've done so many times. And it is really clear to me that it's Jonathan, right? And so I'm feeling that I'm in this altered state after the breathing, right? And then I've asked if Jonathan is there. I've asked if he's ready. And what's been happening all along is that I'm deepening this inward focus and my connection to the energy. What I've since discovered is that the energies of my higher self are so far beyond where I'm at here in the physical world that it's not actually possible for me to directly bring forth the message from Jonathan. And what I would say is that I have a series of intermediaries that act as energy transformers along the way. And this may not be important because it doesn't really seem to make any difference in terms of the message. Jonathan is always monitoring what I'm saying and correcting what's being spoken as it's being spoken. And so I have this experience of receiving complete thought, and then my job, and I'm not aware of this while I'm doing it, is to speak that complete thought. And then thoughts come in after that to refine what was just said or to add to what was just said. And then sometimes the energy stops, right? Jonathan has nothing to say. And there are reasons for that, but mostly it's because either he feels that that idea has been sufficiently explored, or the answer is not, how do we say this? It's not in perfect timing, right? It's not the time to address this sort of thing. And so it's kind of an odd experience for me, because when the energy stops from Jonathan, I'm stopped, right? And so I just have to wait. So my experience there is I get to think back and remember what was just said, and I can retain that. So I would suggest too that a stop, when Jonathan stops, it's an opportunity for me to reflect and to remember what was said. But mostly what happens is that it's a constant stream of thought, right? And it's not like there's a thought, then I speak it, then another thought, then I speak it. It's really, there's a thought, and as I begin to speak it, another thought comes. And for me, sometimes it can be rather difficult to stay with the thoughts as they're coming through, as I'm channeling them. So that, in a nutshell, is my experience. One of contacting Jonathan, feeling that energy, feeling that presence, feeling the support that energy gives me. And then with my inward focus, then I begin to receive these thoughts and I begin to speak them. And I have the pauses where I can reflect and where I can wait for more questions from the people that I'm working with.